We've got grade one upon grade one upon grade one.
It's time to unleash the beast.
For me, it's probably the lay of the week.
Actually going to be with an American raider here and probably one of my better bets of the week. But I think this is a Group 1 winner in the waiting.
What am I going to do with you? Every
Honestly.
time, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our weekend preview, and we head over to the USA, and it's a preview that Jack and I have done for a couple of years now. We had a bit of success last year with the selections out of the Breeders' Cup. Jack, it's exciting to preview some of the action from America and plenty of top quality action for us.
Yeah, I've been waiting all year to put it on. I can finally put it on. The Tarnawa Breeders' Cup calf, it's finally on. So, yeah, looking forward to a great weekend ahead. We've got grade one upon grade one upon grade one. Tarnawa's back out. I mean, it's a lot to look forward to, both sides of the Atlantic.
Do you know what? I still can't believe it, because that Tarnawa cap, you disregarded Tarnawa last year. You really did, and I drilled into you after the horse went and won. And we will get on to Tarnawa and whether she can win from stall 13 later on in the preview. Let's start off with the races on the Friday. We are going to preview all the turf races that we can, or the top quality turf races, and there is the classic at the end, which we will preview. But we'll start off with Friday. It's the 9:50 p.m. That's UK time. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. It's over 5 furlongs, and this is a Group 2 race. Avery Jane is your 11-4 favourite here. Twilight Gleaming is 3-1. One Timer is 7-1. Twilight Jet is 8. Armour is 9s, and double figures the rest of them. Jack, I'm going to start the preview off, and I'll start my selection here. It's going to be quite boring, but I will be with the favourite here, Avery Jane. It's a Wesley Ward juvenile. We know how well he does with his juveniles, especially out in America. I'm sure we're probably going to see this horse potentially next year at somewhere like Royal Ascot. I'm pretty confident in this. Now, the horse has won the 3 starts to date, and actually on the penultimate start, beating Coffee Maker, who I know is very well regarded going into Royal Ascot. Unfortunately, we didn't see Coffee Maker at that point, but I just think, looking at the racing from Del Mar, the one thing I've noticed is that it is a very short straight. I think this is going to be one reason why a lot of the American horses might be able to overcome the European raiders. I just worry for the European raiders potentially with that short straight, and probably going to put up a few more American horses than I usually would for a Breeders' Cup. But yeah, I think Avery Jane at 11-4 is a fair price, and I am going to be with the Wesley Ward favourite in the first. Jack, what about yourself?
I'm spot on agreeing with you. I watched Avery Jane's runs back, and I think she was pretty impressive. I don't think she'll have too much of an issue coming up against the Colts. From the English contingent, of course, you've got the likes of Twilight Jet and Armour in there, but Hierarchy would probably be my pick of the English contingent. Was third in the Sweet Serenia Stakes when he made a great move, and it looked like a race-winning move, and finished third. And then, of course, finished second last time out in the Mill Reef to Wings of War. I think he's got a lot more to offer. I think he could almost benefit from this short straight, because he doesn't seem to last all the way home, because it looked like he was going to go on to win the Mill Reef. So I'll be interested to see almost where he finishes. I think he'll be one of the first home for the English contingent. But I'm completely with you. I think Avery Jane is definitely the one to beat.
There we go. Yeah, a fair price for a favourite here, 11-4. But Jack and I agreeing with an American raider in the first race we're previewing. That's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. And now we'll go on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. This is over a mile. It's a Group 1. It's the 11:10 UK time. Pizza Bianca is your 5-1 favourite here. Koala Princess is 6-1. Mies and Sen is at 15-2. Cairo Memories, Hello You, Consumer Spending, they're all 8-1. Bubble Rock 9s, and double figures bar these. Jack, I'll let you preview this one. Could we see an English raider go in here?
No, I don't think so. It was an interesting one. Miss Unseen, I'm a little bit worried about the draw in 13. Not sure she's going to really like that. I think she ran a great race last time out in the Fillies Mile, finishing 4th to Inspiral. I think the ground's always a little bit of an issue, a bit of a question mark, especially for the juveniles. And again, I'll probably be with Koala Princess, unbeaten filly, who comes into this after a good win last time out at Keeneland. I don't think the step up to Mile should be too much of an issue. She's proved she can handle black type company. I'm not sure she hasn't proven she can handle this thus far, but I mean, she did it pretty decisively last time out. I think she's a reasonable price at the moment. I think she's about 5-1 you can get. It'd be interesting to see what Cairo Memories has got to offer, but I think the English contingent and the European contingent slightly lacking in this. So for me, I'll stay with Koala Princess.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to be with one of the English raiders here. And I'm going to be with James Ferguson's horse, Meeson Sen. I know that potentially she's probably the obvious pick out of the English raiders, but I do think the ground is probably going to suit this horse. We saw that at Goodwood on good ground. I think the quicker the going, the better we're going to see from this horse. It was good to soft the last time against Inspire, where she finished fourth. I do think that she's a lot better than that. I know, Jack, you were, sweet on potentially her as a decent chance in that race without Inspiral that day. But look, I just think that I think she's got a lot to show. I think the American track might actually, for some reason, suit her. You mentioned stall 13 here. We're probably going to discuss stall 13 a fair bit during this preview, but I do think that if she can bounce out and get herself sort of mid-pack early on, I think that she's got a right old chance. And I messaged Murphy straight after Champions Day just to congratulate him. I said, I bet you're looking forward to a relaxed couple of weeks. And what are you looking forward to coming up? And all he texted back was 3 words, and that was Meeson Sen. So I think he's very excited to ride this horse. I'm sure he is for Qatar racing. It'll be a huge moment for James Ferguson, who's had a great season so far as well. So Jack's me with Koala Princess, another American raider in this race here, and I'm going to be with Meeson Sen for James Ferguson and Oisin Murphy. Now, the last race we'll preview on the Friday. Well, technically, it's going to be the Saturday. It's the midnight, so it is going to Saturday morning. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. This is over a mile. It's a Group 1. Modern Games is your 11-4 favourite here. Dabawi Legend is 5-1. Al-Bahara is 6-1. Glanthorne is 9-1. Portfolio Company 10-1 and 11-1. Bar those. Jack, I don't know how people are not seeing this. I think this all should be far shorter, but I'm very excited by Modern Games. I really am. I think that Charlie Appy has got a great bunch of 2-year-olds at the moment. I'm excited to see what these horses can do next season, but I think this is a Group 1 winner in the waiting. I think he's got plenty of horses who could be Group 1 winners next season as 3-year-olds. But the Yard won this back in 2018 with Line of Duty. The draw that the horse is right on the rail, and I'm sure that if Buick can bounce out, and hit the front early, the horse made virtually all the last 8, beating Trident. I do think this horse is going to be just there at the finish and be tough to pass. You look at that form of beating Trident, and Trident's second in the pre-morning, which has worked out to be extremely, extremely strong. And I think it was a decent result there, beating Trident. So I'm going to be with the Godolphin Horse Modern Games here. I think with Appy having 2 in here, Buick taking the ride on this one here, I do think Modern Games is going to be very tough to beat. Jack, is it time for you to pick an English horse?
It is, yeah. It is. Yeah. It is about time. It's finally here. Look, Charlie Appleby, when he sends them over, you do have to take note. He's been tearing it up all around the world this year, especially in the USA. And I'm with you on Modern Games. I think he's got a plum draw in 1. I think he'll be hopefully able to bounce out. If not, he'll be able to settle towards the front of the field, hopefully get a little bit of cover, and then most importantly, be able to get out. I'd love to see Dabawi Legend do it, but I mean, he's drawn in the car park in 14. With James Doyle on board. If he had a better draw, I'd probably be siding with him, because I think the short straight should suit him. I mean, he got caught by Native Trail last time out in the Dewhurst, which was kind of inevitable. I think the step up to a mile should suit him, but I definitely think he's a Group 1 or Grade 1 horse in the making. Will it be shown come Friday night, Saturday morning? I'm not too sure. I think we may have to wait to see him as a 3-year-old to see him grab a big group race. And I think Modern Games, as you say, is the one to beat. Glanthorne, I'm going to mention because, of course, he was a 2-year-old for me to follow next year. I think he's going to be a better 3-year-old than he is 2-year-old, obviously. I think he will train on. I think the autumn campaign was definitely the right way to go. I'm just not too sure about the ground. I'm not sure if he's bred to appreciate this very quick ground, and it may have taken a little bit out of him last time out. He was a bit of a bunch finished at Leopardstown in the Group 3, which he won there. So he definitely showed a gritty determination to win that, but I think it's all about Modern Games, and I think it's a decent price at about 3-1.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think it's a fairly decent price. And Glanthorne is definitely, as Jack mentioned there, a horse that looks like could fill out the frame quite nicely for next season. I really do. So definitely a horse, like Jack said, to note for next year. Now let's move on to officially the Saturday racing, the Saturday evening racing. It's the 7:40 UK time, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. This is over 5 furlongs. It's a Group 1. Golden Pal is your 5-2 favourite here. Amarati Anna is 6's. Last year's winner, Glass Slippers, is 13-2. Kamari, along with Gear Jockey, they're 7-1. A Case of You, 8-1. Lieutenant Dan, 9s. Arrest Me Red, 10s. And 16-1, bar those. Jack, now the obvious one in here is going to be the one that's been talked up all season over in America, and that will be Golden Pal, known as the American Rocket. Now, we saw this horse come over to the UK and it didn't quite work out, hit the front, and wasn't able to hold it out. And I just don't know whether this horse could potentially be worth taking on at 5-2. The only worry is that these American tracks are really going to suit this horse. and Wesley Ward loves a sprinter, Jack. Is this a horse worth taking on?
Yeah, for me, it's probably the lay of the week. I'm just not too convinced. I mean, he was very disappointing, wasn't he, when he came over to the UK? Of course, he'd definitely be better suited to the American tracks, but he was constantly beaten by everything in the race. Of course, reopposing Emiratiana today. I think the 5 furlong could perhaps just be a little bit too sharp for him, which would be a bit of a worry for me. And I'm actually going to go for Wesley Ward's second string, which is a Recipe Red, who's absolutely come on leaps and bounds this year. He had an okay 2-year-old campaign last year, but this year he's won twice. And I mean, the way he stuck his neck out last time out, I watched the race back, and the way he stuck his neck out, he really is a battler. And I think he did it in good style. I think he's definitely on an upwards curve. I know Golden Pal probably is as well, but at the prices, he's about 8-1. And hopefully he'll be able to continue that upwards curve. Of course, he's got the 3-year-old allowance as well, which is quite handy, the £2 allowance, which they have over the older horses. So I think as a 3-year-old, he's on an upwards curve, and hopefully Arrest Me Red can run a good race.
There we go, a double figure selection there of Arrest Me Red for Jack. I'm going to be with last year's winner. I actually mentioned this horse back after the Flying 5, that this horse, I think the big target all season after last year's win was going to be the Breeders' Cup Turf Spread. I think the horse is well suited by these courses. She's drawn on the rail. I think she's going to pop out. I'm not sure she'll probably be in sort of mid-pack, and she'll come around that corner and hopefully finds a way through it. It's very difficult at these American tracks, so you can sometimes have to go about 7 wide to get your run, or you've just got to be very lucky with the gaps. But like I say, I think the ground's going to be perfect for this horse, and I just think that potentially with the American Raiders, they could go off an absolute rocket pace, and that will only suit Glass Slippers, who's going to come with a late run. I'm hoping that she can do it once again. So Rest Me Red for Jack, and it'll be last year's winner, Glass Slippers, for myself. Now we go on to the 8:59 now, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mares Turf. This is over 1 mile and 3 furlongs, an interesting distance we don't see in this country. It's a Group 1. Love is 3-1 here. Warlike Goddess is 7-2. Love's Only You, the Japanese Raider, is 9-2. Odaria is 5. Rougier 13-2. Going to Vegas 16-1. My Sister Nat 16-1 and 20-1. And Bigger the rest. Now, I'm actually going to be with last year's winner in this as well. And I think Odaria is going to go and win this under Buick. Like I say, she won this last year under a really, really decent ride last year. And I think that Buick on board is going to be a massive help. The jockey who's been absolutely flying all season. The ground is one thing that's really going to help this horse. I don't think this horse has actually had her ground all season, really. I mean, the only time we've seen that was at Royal Ascot, where she's beaten by Love. Now, I'm not sure Love's head is in the game as much as it was when we saw this horse winning the Oaks and that season winning the Yorkshire Oaks, where she looked electric. I'm not sure the horse's head is fully in it. And it's Love's first trip over to America. That would be sort of my one concern, where definitely worth potentially taking her on. And with Odaria having a decent spin around these American tracks on quick going, I think this could be the Group 1 for this horse. Jack, it is fascinating seeing the Japanese Raider in here, though, with Love's Only You, who was 3rd in the Shima Classic. And the Japanese have been raving this one up as their best hope of the weekend. And we often hear the Japanese raving up their horse and it doesn't quite come to plan. Would you be potentially giving her a chance in here, or would you be with something else?
Yeah, I think she has a very good chance. Of course, that 3rd out in Dubai was a great run. You can't knock that form as well after what Mishreef's gone on to do this year and that win in the Juddmonte. My concern is she was only second to Sadashi last time out, who's probably the best looking racehorse on planet Earth. It must be fair to say, but she should have really been winning that. She was odds on that day. Of course, the step up in trip's intriguing because the last time she was seen over this trip was the Shima Classic. So it'll be interesting to see how she gets on. I think she's an okay price if she can drift to about 6-7-1 maybe. I think it should be a decent each way proposition. The point with Love and Odaria, I just don't think they're as good as they once were. Odaria for me is definitely on her way out. I think if she was going to win a Group 1 this year, the NASA was a great chance for her to do it, and she didn't manage to. It'd be interesting to see if the return to America does revive some kind of form. And Love, as you say, the trip's a huge question mark. But I actually think Warlike Goddess is one of the best bets of the week at 7-2. I think that's a cracking price. I mean, she just absolutely oozes class. I mean, watching her races back, I think she's a glorious traveller. She travels around the bends with absolute ease and kicks clear. I think she is the definition of a Grade 1 performer. She costs $30,000 as a 2-year-old. She's only got the $450,000 in prize money at the minute. So I think she'll be able to get that Grade 1 on the board. I'm actually quite excited to see her. I think she's still on an upwards curve. She arrives in pursuit of a 5th consecutive win, and I think she'll be able to get it here.
There we go. Warlike Goddess, that's potentially one of the better bets of the weekend, and we'll find out whether he's part of his next best or not for the weekend in a moment. So yeah, Jack with All Like Goddess and myself with last year's winner or Daria. I'm going to be a last year's winner double there with Glass Slippers and Daria. It's dangerous, that is.
Yeah,
now, oh, it's Terry. We'll go on to the 1020 now. This is the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile. This is a Group 1. Space Blues is your 5-2 favourite here. Mo Forza is 6-1. Mother Earth is 7-1. Master of the Seas, In Love and Blowout, they're all around 12-1 and 14-1 bar these. Jack, I've got a feeling this might go the way of the Americans, but I know that Applebee's 2 are drawn very well. Are you going to be with one of these 2?
I am, and probably for my sins, it's fair to say. Space Blues is probably the world's best 7 furlong horse. Over a mile, I think you have to take him on. If he goes and proves me wrong and he stays the mile and goes and wins well, then fair play. He's proved something which I didn't think he had in him, which was the versatility of the trip, because I think he's a 7 furlong specialist. I still think that. And that's that. But I'm going to kick myself here because I'm going to be with Master of the Seas. I'm going to give him another chance. Of course, he was 7th on Champions Day. He was 5th behind Ben Battle and Joel Stakes before that. But I mean, you don't finish second to Poetic Flair in the Guineas on quick ground for no reason. I think those 2 runs may have just freshened him up a bit and got him back into gear. I think as a 3-year-old, there's got to be more improvement there. There really does. I know he's against the older horses again, but I think on quick ground over a mile, I do think he may, if he's going to bounce back and hopefully train on, then I think this is it. And 11-1 drawn plum draw again in 1. I think I'm going to have to give him one more chance. He's got the Doyler on board, and hopefully at a double figure price he'll be able to run a good race.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to hear today Charlie Appleby's quotes on Master C saying if they do go quick and the ground stays firm, he'd be shocked if the horse isn't bang there. So as long as that's the case, which it often is the case, they do go fairly quick out in America. It could suit Master C's, who I agree with Jack, could be a great each way proposition here. I'm actually going to be with an American raider here, and probably one of my better bets of the weekend. And that's Mo Forza, who I think is going to be bang there in my big American pick on the Saturday. He's won his last 3 starts at the track, and a horse with course form, especially at Down Mile. Like I say, I've mentioned it before, but this short straight, we know this horse can perform over there and has a nice kick off the bend. He's been unbeaten since August 2020, and they actually planned to come here last year, from what I remember, but there were a few setbacks with this horse, meaning that they couldn't go. So I just think that Mo Forza, they've been laid out for this race all year, and they're quite excited to get him in this race. And I think at 6-1, I'd actually say is a cracking win bet. And I think Space Blues is definitely worth taking on. Like Jack says, if this race was around 7 furlongs, you'd be giving Space Blues a potential chance in here. But I just think potentially up to the mile, going at speed, they're probably going to go out. I think it's going to go to one of these consistent milers and Mo Forza for myself. But Master of the Seas, I'm going to say, is a decent each way bet, and Jack's put that horse up as an each way bet. But I definitely think that if like I say, the ground stays firm, then I think he's going to be bang there, and we're going to see Master of the Seas potentially at his best once again. Let's go on to the big one, essentially, in terms of the turf. This is the 1140, the Breeders' Cup Turf, over a mile and a half. This is the Group 1. Tarnawa is your 7-4 favourite here. Domestic spending 5-1. Tiona 7-1. Yabir is 9-1. Walton Street 11s. Gufo is 11-1. Broome is 16-1 and 18-1. Bar those. Now, I was watching the draw on Monday evening for the horses, and I saw this is the one that I paid attention to, is where is Tarnawa drawn in 13. And Jack, you've mentioned it a couple of times. There are a few horses already on the preview that you wouldn't be siding with them due to the draw. Now, I definitely think if a horse is good enough, they can win from this draw. And if one man is going to win from this draw, it's the magician, Colin Keane, who gave this horse a masterful ride last year. Oh, Jack, can she do it? Are you going to be siding with her, or do you think that she's got a real tough task on her hands?
Look, she's clearly very classy. She's finished second in an arc. She's showed a lot of ability still at the age of 5. I mean, she was second in the Irish Champion Stakes before that, but she hasn't won since obviously seasonal reappearance. I just think she could perhaps have one more hard luck story. It kind of reminds me of Magical last race on her way out, and she may be able to run a gallant race but finish second or third. So I think at 13-8, I feel like I'm betraying her because I've got a cat beside me, but I'm going to have to take her on at that price. And I'm going to take her on with the 3-year-old who we were kind of calling out his name for the first half of the season until we finally vindicated what we thought in the Great Voltigeur, and it's Yabir. at 9-1. I think that it is a really good each way price for my in my opinion. I think I know he's drawn 10, which is never ideal, but of course he won, and it kind of looked like everything was going wrong for Jamie Spencer at Belmont last time out, but he just oozed class that day. I mean, he was well in command. He won by nearly 3 lengths going away at the line, and he had to come all the way around the outside, and he stayed on very well that day. And I mean, I think he'll be able to get a better ride with Buick on board today. And if he has to come round, if he has to come wide, then so be it. He did it at Belmont last time out, and I think it is a good each way price. I'd love to see Tarnawa do it, but I think she may be second or third. I'd love to see her get ahead in front, but I'm going to be with you, Beer.
Okay, yeah, your beer for Jack. And I definitely think that the European raiders, in terms of class, they hold all the aces in this race. The one worry is a lot of the top European raiders, I think all of them, are out in the car park. Looking at it, they are drawn fairly wide. And I'm going to have a decent each way playing here on an American raider, and that's going to be United at 20-1 each way. Now, he's been winning a couple of grade 2s and grade 3s. It's just in comfortable style this season, getting his head in front. And Velasquez is going to be aboard this horse, probably one of my favourite American jockeys. I really like Velasquez, and he can be a risky rider. He can go for that run up the rail, but he is luckily drawn on the rail. So if he can get things right and get himself into a decent position, he may have that rail to hand. Now, I just want to see his horse get his head in front, because I've watched the Breeders' Cup Turf the last 2 years. He's had a go at it. He was second behind Bricks and Mortar back in 2019. Last year was a bit disappointing, finishing 8th. But I think the United, I just think that he could be this could be the dream for the owners. But 20-1, I think, is a fair each way price, especially with a lot of these European raiders out in the car park. Like I said, I'd love to see Tarnawa do it. I think she's definitely by far the best horse in this race. But I do think potentially she could be open to being beaten by something else in here. So I'm going to play an each way bet at 20-1 on United, and Jack will be with your beer at around 9-1. Now we go on to, well, essentially we're going on to Sunday morning now, the 12:40. It's the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is the only dirt race that we are going to be previewing. It's a Group 1 over a mile and a quarter on the dirt. Nick's Go is your 9-4 favourite here. Essential Quality 3-1. Hot Rod Charlie is 5-1. Medina Spirit 6-1. Art Collector 9-1. Max Player 9-1, and 20-1 the rest of the field. Jack, I'm going to be fairly boring here. I'm going to be with Nick's Going here. Won the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile last season. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year. Disappointing in the Saudi Cup, but then since then has been performing very well out in the US, winning the Group 1 Whitney Stakes very, very comfortably, and been winning sort of grade 2 and grade 3 races in really easy fashion. I just think that Nick's Go is by far the classiest horse in here. I know it's a boring selection at 9-4, but I just think potentially he's going to go and do it. What about yourself?
I'm going to take you on at the front of the market. I'm a big fan of Essential Quality. I think he showed a great attitude to win last time out. And of course, the second, then finished second in the Pennsylvania Derby when he was slightly hampered as well. So Essential Quality, I think the trip's a slight worry for me with Nick's Go, of course, going that extra furlong. So it'll be interesting to see how he does get on. And for me, kind of the what if and the 3-year-old allowance that Essential Quality is going to get, I think it'd be great to see him do it. And 3-1, I'm going to take you on.
There we go. Okay, 2 at the top of the market. Jack and I are taking each other on. Jack with Essential Quality and myself with Nick's Go in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, time to get on to our next best and naps from the weekend. Jack, we'll start off with your next best.
Next best is going to be in the fillies and mares. I think War Like Goddess at 7-2. I'm a huge fan of her, watching her races back. I think she travels tremendously. I think she'll be able to travel up and kick clear in good style, and hopefully at 7-2 land the next best.
Okay, yeah, War Like Goddess, American horse for Jack is his next best. And I'm new with you in next best with Mo Forza in the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile. I think that Mo Forza is going to go and win that, and I'm going to put that up as a win bet at 6-1. Now the naps, and my nap does not come from Del Mar. Oh, God, it's time to unleash the beast. Goshen runs at Wincanton on Saturday. It's time, Jack. I honestly cannot wait for this. The yard, everything they're sending out at the moment, it's winning. We saw what the horse did last season in the Kingwell Hurdle. Destroyed the field. Back out right-handed. The horse has still got improvements to come. Maybe he's got his head screwed on just slightly, a little bit more. And he's going to go and win this weekend at around 5-2. I think he's going to beat Sco Royale, who's currently around your 5-4 favourite. I just think going right-handed, Gary Morjard, like I say, they could not be going any better at the moment. I think he's going to take all the beating, and 5-2. The Goshen train is back on, Jack.
What am I going to do with you? Every time, isn't it? Every time you have
the opportunity. Somewhere. It's somewhere down here, the t-shirt, but we'll bring that out probably later on in the season.
Every time you have the opportunity, you bring him out. To be fair, I mean, I'd love to see him do it. It would just be great, wouldn't it? It would be great
I'd
because
love
then
it.
the Cheltenham train is back on
Oh
straight
God,
away. It's
don't.
back
I
on.
can't
He
back him
won't
again
be,
at Chelsea.
he
Go on,
won't be
Jack.
going
What's
to
your nap?
Cheltenham. He won't be going to Cheltenham. But no, it'd be great to see him do it. My nap is actually going to be in America, but it's not going to be one of the races that we've previewed. It's going to be in the Distaff, which is 11 o'clock on the Saturday, and it's a pretty boring selection. But Latruska's 11 to 8. I think she's miles better than anything else in the field. Malafat was a bit disappointing on her penultimate outing, and I think Latruska's going to take all the beating here. I know she's a 5-year-old, but I think she's going to be a bit better than some of the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds she's up against. So Latruska at 11 to 8, 11 o'clock on the Saturday in the Distaff is going to be my nap.
Okay, there we go. 11 to 8 nap at Del Mar for Jack there. Right, that's it for the weekend preview. We're going to be back with you guys next weekend. Obviously, we have got some great action this weekend as well from Wincanton. Like I say, with the Elite Hurdle, we've got Brave Man's Game potentially out. And also the Badger Ales chase, the big handicap chase there this week, and along with some good action at Aintree as well. But Jack and I will be back next weekend previewing some national hunt action. That'll probably come to you either Thursday or Friday. We look forward to bringing that to you. Thanks for all the recent support. It's been mad how many subscribers we've picked up over the last sort of couple of weeks. Get us to 1,000 by Christmas, and I'll tell you what, we might even consider going to the Breeders' Cup next season. It might just happen. If you can get us there, Jack and I will definitely consider it. But like I say, thanks for the support. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next week for our weekend preview. Thanks for watching.